Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back into the SFS channel. My name is Gavin, and today we've got ourselves a Tuesday mock draft episode here on the channel. It's likely going to be a heavy mock draft week as I just got my wisdom teeth out yesterday, being Monday morning. This video is probably going up a little bit later on Tuesday afternoon, but we'll see what happens here. So myself and Eric actually both had this surgery just recently. I had it Monday, as I just said, and Eric is actually having it as I'm recording this episode. So it's going to be an interesting week. We'll see how much I can make it through here today, but I'm giving my best shot for you all. My cheeks are puffy, my face feels swollen, and it's not the easiest to talk right now. So we're going to try and speed through things, in today's episode, as I'm going to try and avoid getting dry sockets or anything bad that comes with this surgery. But we got to get an episode. We got to get content out here for you all. So with that being said, we're not going to waste any time, and let's get straight into the mock draft. Alright, y'all, here we go. So this was actually a comment suggested draft setup today. 10 teams, full PPR from the third pick. The main idea here obviously being that we can break down some of this early round strategy. Again, bear with me, you guys. This might not be the cleanest episode here, and I'm going to try and keep this under 30 minutes because I don't know how long I can talk. I've got stitches in my mouth right now, and I can feel them tugging every time I talk. So bear with me. Give this video a like. Support the grind at least, even if the quality of content today isn't quite where it normally is, but I'm doing my best for you all. Christian McCaffrey, this is the easy pick here. Not sure how he fell to us at that third pick, but you'll find that every once in a while when you do these computer ADP drafts where it tries to jumble things up for you and keep things original, although we probably know Christian McCaffrey likely would never be there for us at that 1-3 position. Now, here in the second round, we've got a choice to make. I love the idea of drafting Antonio Gibson here. This is full PPR, so I do like Austin Ekeler as well. And something I might do with only 4 picks coming off the board in between now and my next selection, I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to take Austin Ekeler and see if I can't just rope in Antonio Gibson alongside him. Give me 3 elite pass-catching volume running backs to start this draft off, and boom, we get it. So I just want to make sure. Okay, I would love to take Darren Waller here. This is a pick I would absolutely love to make, but I think there's such a unique situation to have not only 1, 2, but 3 running backs who perfectly fill the PPR format platform in terms of their skill sets and ranges. All 3 of these guys have the potential to have 100 targets this season. That is not an understatement. Christian McCaffrey almost certainly will do it. If Austin Ekeler plays all 17 starting games, he will do it as well. He averaged 6.5 targets per game. Let's pull out the calculator here for some quick maths. 6.5 times 17 regular season games. If he were to pace that out, it would be 110.5 targets. So if he at least maintains his level of involvement in that area this season that he had last year, he should hit that marker. Justin Jefferson's a nice piece, but right now it's between, again, Darren Waller and Antonio Gibson. But with the RB positional scarcity, I'm going to hold off here and wait just a second and see if I can snatch up a TJ Hawkinson. Otherwise, we'll go with the tight end fade strategy for today. So some of you are probably going to wish to see me pick Darren Waller here. That's okay. That's understandable. I totally get the thought process there, but this is such a unique situation. I would not take J.K. Dobbins right here over Darren Waller because he's not a pass-catching running back. That is what Antonio Gibson and Austin Ekeler gave me here. So a very rare situation where you literally find a talent and skill set that perfectly matches the scoring format. 3 draft picks in a row at the same position. So I could not be more happy with how this thing started off. Darren Waller would have been a great pick as well. Had Antonio Gibson went here at like the 3-2 or 3-1 or something, then I would have picked him even over a Calvin Ridley or a George Kittle. So now Travis Etienne unfortunately suffered an injury last night in that preseason game. Ooh, yikes. If it's a Liz Frank, that could be a big deal, and James Robinson might skyrocket up draft boards, although whenever he can return from that, things might change a bit in that situation. It's probably time to start looking at wide receiver here. I actually just looked at a list. I wasn't like seeking out this list, but on my Instagram feed, I think it was Kay Adams on the NFL Network came up with her top 12 receivers, and she had CeeDee Lamb as her wide receiver 6. That's a bit ridiculous to me. I think he's a fringe top 12 wide receiver. I would say anywhere between 10 and 14 to have him on your ranking sheet is respectable. I think I have him at 13. I'm still going to draft him here because I'm comfortable with him as my wide receiver 1 as long as Dak Prescott can be healthy. That's something that's going to be a big question mark this year. We're going to have to wait and see whether or not he can live up to expectations and be as healthy as we'd like him to. But CD, I've said this a bunch of times this offseason, was only out-targeted by Amari Cooper by 5 looks in his first 5 games as an NFL player when Dak was on the field. After the other quarterbacks came in, it was a different story. It was a different situation. But I think that he has a very dang good chance to be the top receiving threat on this team. Now, this is where things get interesting. Do I take Chris Godwin and Amari Cooper here? I would love, if I was in the range, to snatch up a Tyler Lockett. It might be just a hair early, although I could go with TJ Hockenson here. Let's see. Okay, yep, it's the same issue he was dealing with the other day. Mark Andrews still sitting out after that very bad cramping that he had at practice where he got ambulanced off the field. I don't know. Full PPR, Chris Godwin might be the play here. I'd rather not go with 2 wide receivers from one team. I do have Chris Godwin as another fringe wide receiver 1. He did out-target Mike Evans last season, which is something I really like to see. But also Antonio Brown did out-target Chris Godwin when he was on the field with Tom last season. So at bare minimum, I think you're looking at a player who just has Brady's trust. Playing in that slot role should be pretty good for him. He had a couple big playoff games. Someone I haven't picked a ton of this season, but we're going to switch things up. As my wide receiver 2, I don't hate it. I think him and CeeDee Lamb can be a nice pairing at that position group. And it looks like we might be doing a tight end fade strategy. It was just too good of value for me to pass on Chris Godwin there in the early mid 5th round. But a bunch of things could have played out in that situation there. So with this next choice, I'm not going to go quarterback. It's not quite time for that. In a 10-team league, there's no reason to pick a quarterback this early, especially when those top flight guys are already gone. The running backs, I've already addressed that position so well. And James Robinson could be rising up to boards, as I mentioned, but I'm interested to see what the final injury disclosure is on Travis Etienne. Javonte would be an awesome pick, but I think we're going to wait a little bit because we've got the flexibility. Maybe I can take Chase Edmonds in the 7th round and just play things out here. The pick I'm actually going to make is a player I'm super high on this season. Over a Kenny Golladay, over Michael Thomas, still on the PUP list. By the way, what about Marquez Callaway in that preseason game the other night? Holy cow, he had 2 deep ball touchdowns from Jameis Winston. Jameis only had 1 incomplete pass in the night. It looks like he's very quickly closing in on that starting job. And him and Marquez Callaway look like they might just be able to do something. We'll see if he can separate against real, legitimate NFL corners. But that game was pretty darn impressive. Ayuk, though, one of the more underrated route runners in the league. I really believe in his ability to succeed in that area of the field. And Jimmy Garoppolo looked a bit rough the other night. But I think he'll be just fine at the end of the day when he's in there with the ones the whole time. Just give him that starting role. And if Trey Lance comes in, field stretching time, boom, boom, boom. Ayuk's going to be fed the ball, near the line of scrimmage, down the field. He's really a do-it-all player, and that's what I like so much about his value. Deontay Johnson's nice. It'll be a super high passing volume team, but there's also a significant amount of other players competing for targets. Kenny Golladay, I don't believe so much in the quarterback play, and Odell Beckham Jr. is probably going to be more of a boom-bust play this season. MT would be interesting here. He could put up wide receiver 1 numbers once he comes back. I guess he's ahead of schedule, which is awesome to hear. That is an old report, though. It's good that he's back with the team and whatnot. I'll consider it. It's an interesting draft choice here, not something I'm going to lock myself into. But as my wide receiver 4, I could come in here mid-season and have the choice of Ayuk, Godwin, CD, and MT in my lineup. And I'm not going to say that Jameis is going to be as good as he was the other night in the regular season, but man, even if he went 8 for 11 instead of 10 for 11, 7 for 11, I could live with that. Give him the target magnet back, and I think he could be just fine. That's the pick we're going to go with here, I think. I just want to cross off my... but James Robinson... See, okay, if I knew for a fact that Travis Etienne was dealing with a Liz Frank and was going to miss significant time, I'd make that pick in a heartbeat. Give me a 4th running back, but at the same time, at the 7-3, we're probably not going to be able to get James Robinson anymore if that is the case, and Etienne is going to miss a bunch of time. So that's something to keep our eyes on here. So I feel really good now. The top 3 running backs, the top 4 wide receivers for this group have all played out very, very nicely. I'm going to try and get a Ryan Tannehill or a Jalen Hurts and just load out the rest of this roster while I still have the chance. I'm going to reach a little bit here. I'm going to go Trey Sermon as my RB4. It's full PPR, and there is still, I believe, no, Raheem Mostert went just before me. Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, Rojo. I think their ceilings are all fairly capped, and their floors aren't the safest. Give me the player that just has a chance to be a league-winning upside type guy. I've already got 3 very, very good potential top 12 running backs in full PPR formats on this team. Why not just toss another dart throw out there and try and find a player that can give me that elite upside I'm looking for? And I'm going to come back and do the exact same thing. Boom. 2 rookie running backs. I love snatching both of those players up when I can. Michael Carter's skill set's going to favor him a little bit more. And sorry about that, guys. His skill set's going to be favored a little bit more in these full PPR formats just because he has more of a pass catcher's skill set. But I still think Trey Sermon has higher upside. Maybe not as good of a floor because he's not technically a day 1, week 1 starter. But he's still definitely a player who is a threat to be a very significant piece in that offense. So, running backs pretty much dried up. I've got 5 of them here. No sense in looking to draft that position again. This is actually looking kind of similar to one of my drafts that I did just recently here. I may end up going for Gronk as a boom or bust touchdown play. See, I just did that though in another league, and I like to diversify my picks and my investments. Unfortunately, one of my favorite tight ends of this season as a late round flyer pick was carted off the field, Adam Troutman. We're going to be missing him for a significant bit of time, which kind of stinks, but gotta live with it, gotta deal with it, find a way to bounce back. So, okay, I'm going to have to pick Gronk here. Here's why. I'm fine with a ton of quarterbacks on the table, but Gronk is really the only tight end in the spot that I actually like. I looked at the wide receiver crop. No one blows me off the board and feels like a must draft there. I could go Michael Pittman, I suppose, but he's even got a little bit of a gap in his ADP. I don't want to invest in 2 wideouts from the same team in Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin. And again, there's a handful of quarterbacks I like. So I'm going to go Gronk here in the late 10th. There will be multiple quarterbacks, and literally one of them goes, and it was not the one I was targeting there. So I've got myself a nice situation where I can kind of choose which player I would rather have or would like to have most here. I have Lawrence, Stafford, Tannehill, and Hurts all as fringe quarterback 1 options. I believe Tannehill is my highest ranked in the draft guide at the moment, followed by Jalen Hurts, who I think is my QB 12. Stafford is my QB 13. And then I want to say Trevor Lawrence is my QB 15. So in standard 12-team leagues, you're looking at players who are all right around that territory of player where it's a pretty safe floor, but the ceiling on a week-to-week basis might be just a bit limited. I'm going to go Tannehill here, though. This is the strategy I want to take. Give me a quarterback who can run the ball, pass it deep to 2 wide receiver 1s on his team. That play-action game is filthy good with Julio and A.J. Brown. It was already filthy good with just due to having Derrick Henry in the run game. A.J. and Julio will take the top off the defense. You got Anthony Ferguson underneath as a tight end option. You got a couple other decent potential receivers, Josh Reynolds. And you've also got a rookie wideout. Oh, man, I'm going to blank out his name here, of course. He's out of Tennessee, I want to say. Can I look up, like, Titans? Find their team. Oh my gosh, I can see the kid's face in my mind. All right, let's do some scrolling here. So there's Josh Reynolds. I'm sure a lot of you could not care less about this, but it's going to drive me nuts because I wrote a whole in-depth player profile about this kid. Dez Fitzpatrick. I don't even think I saw him, but I just remembered. I saw Dez, and then it hit me. Who did I just... Dez Stewart, but it's Dez Fitzpatrick is the Titans wideout. I wrote a whole article about how he could take over and become a day 1 starter, but then they traded for Julio, so I had to do the whole thing over again in the rookie Dynasty Draft Guide. By the way, if you're new around here, looking for some help with your fantasy leagues, in the description of today's video is a link to the 2021 Draft Guide collection. You can check out either the Redraft or Dynasty Draft Guide or the bundle of both. It's the best value on the fantasy market this season. Got for Redraft my top 250 player profiles and analysis. So basically, you can click on the top 250 players or the individual positional rankings, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, defenses, and just click on a name. It'll send you their profile. I've got ceiling and floor assessments in addition to a risk radar for where their ADP is currently at. I've got to update some of the Draft Guide profiles. The rankings will be updated again here a couple more times until the end of draft season. But essentially, all the meat and potatoes are already in there. I finished all the raw content that needs to go in there. It's just a matter of keeping that updated and fresh for you all so you have the best access to information this season. I do need to make a pick very quickly here, so I'm going to take my second quarterback. Just in case Ryan Tannehill doesn't work out, I saw a ton of quarterbacks on the board, and maybe I would have rather had Darnell Mooney, but at the end of the day, I'm just fine going Curtis Samuel here as my next best wideout off the board. But anyways, we've got 60 must-own players in rounds 1 through 20 of 12-team leagues. I've got a sleeper and a bust master list for this fantasy season, so a bunch of names at every position to either make sure you're drafting or to stay the heck away from. Some players I have labeled as both boom and bust players, or sleepers and bust. That's kind of where I just said it. You fit into that boom-bust territory where the player has a ton of upside. They could be a really great investment of draft capital and could play out very well for you on the back end, but they could also be an absolute disappointment. There's some players like Jalen Hurts, for example, has that clarification. Deshaun Watson. You can get Deshaun Watson now. Where'd he go? He might not have went already. Nope, he has. He must have went just recently. What color quarterbacks? Pink. Watson. There you go. 14-5. Deshaun Watson in the 14th round. That's a must-grab player to me. The upside is so good, but he could also not play a game this year. You kind of get what I'm saying here. Jalen Hurts, he's got rushing ability. He's got a receiver one now, but can he come through, be the passer we want him to be? It's just a matter of those type of things that I'm looking at there. So Curtis Samuel was the 13th round draft pick there. I like that pick. I think I'm going to go dabble into Marvin Jones here this round, but we'll see what happens. I will not be picking a second tight end. As Gronkowski, I'm fine. If he scores me a touchdown, awesome. If not, I can live with that at the end of the day because I've constructed this roster, or at least the rest of it, to make up for his lack of production or to thrive massively when he does produce and get those red zone TDs. I'm really liking the depth on this team, too. Curtis Samuel's a player with Ryan Fitzpatrick who has a very elevated ceiling, and he returns to that Ron Rivera-led football team. In the last mock draft episode here, I had the choice between Russell Gage and Marvin Jones. I went Russell Gage. Today, we're switching things up, going Marvin Jones. I said they're both very, very closely rated in the draft guide, and I like their situations a lot. Both of them have very promising potentials in their offenses. I think that Marvin Jones with Trevor Lawrence could be a big-time connection. Just the fact that you've got a veteran wide receiver with a rookie quarterback, that seems like something that should click. And then Russell Gage gets elevated in that offensive totem pole with no more Julio Jones at the wide receiver position. So, 2 rounds. This might not be what you all want to hear right now, but I can feel my mouth. The holes in my mouth are beginning to bleed. So I got to finish this thing up pretty quick here. I'll try to be back for tomorrow's video. The doctor did tell me, though, that the first 3 days post-surgery is supposed to get worse and worse and worse each day. It's like a step system, he said. You walk, it's a ladder. You ever done a workout where you do the ladder where you climb up and then you hit the peak and then you have to come back down? He basically said you're going to get worse and worse, more swelling, more pain. And then once you hit the top of that peak, you're going to just slowly fall back down, and hopefully in a week I'll be just fine. Back to regular scheduled content for the last 2 weeks, week and a half of draft season. And then I'll be healthy and good to go for the entire regular season, getting you guys multiple videos per day at times. And obviously flourishing here for the most important time of the year and what we've all been waiting for this season. But I'm trying to bear through things. They didn't give me pain meds, so I'm basically just rolling off ibuprofen. And I tried this goofy TikTok trend where you drink a bunch of pineapple juice, which supposedly reduces inflammation. I don't know. It's weird, funky business. It must be working because my buddies that have had this done, their faces have been the size of a bowling ball. Mine, I don't know if you can see it. It looks pretty fine to me, but I can definitely feel it's not the best feeling in the world. So A couple more picks here. It looks like I actually will get Russell Gage, and then I got to take a defense. My Dolphins and my Broncos will probably both be there. Those have been my defenses I've been picking this year. I like waiting till the last round to draft my defense. I think that you can find some very quality pass rushes and secondaries at that spot on the board. And here we go. Miami Dolphins, 16th round. That's got to be my most drafted defense this season. I just love Brian Flores as the coach. That's secondary. They've got a bunch of ball hogs. They make it happen. I think Denver, with the infusion of corner talent they have there, in addition to hopefully a healthy Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, some other guys up front, they should be pretty solid as well. Vic Fangio has coached very good defenses before, but it's a matter of time, and we'll see here. So to recap the roster, the running back position is absolutely freaking loaded. Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson, those were our picks in rounds 1 through 3. You're probably not going to be able to make that happen in a 12-team league, but we got lucky here today. Trey Sermon and Michael Carter filling out that unit on the bench. That's a dang good 5-man roster if you ask me at the running back spot. Receivers got a lot better than I expected them to with how light we went early. CeeDee Lamb and Chris Godwin, you might not feel the best about as your receiver 1 and 2, but I think they can both put up very, very productive years, or at least one or the other can. I feel very, very confident in Brandon Ayuk, and hopefully Michael Thomas can get back and claim that fame that he used to have with what is 185 target season. He won't get back to those numbers quite, but I'm saying at least like a bona fide wide receiver 1. Curtis Samuel, Marvin Jones, Russell Gage, I feel good about those bench options as well. And then Ryan Tannehill, Justin Fields manning that quarterback spot. I think Tannehill should be just fine as a season-long starter, like weeks 1 through 18. Obviously, there's a bye week, so you're playing 17 games. But Fields will get his chance this year. He should be pretty dang good as well. And then that tight end spot, I'm just going to live or die here with either Gronk catches me a touchdown or he doesn't. I'm not expecting him to put up great yardage for me. I simply think that he will score more touchdowns than not. Like, in a 17-game schedule, if Gronk scores me 8 to 10 touchdowns, job done. Good job, Gronk. I mean, him and Brady clearly have the best red zone connection on this team. He's not going to see a crazy target share. There's other tight ends in this offense, but should be a situation that works out very nicely. So I got to get out of here before I do too much more damage to my mouth. Hopefully we can progress this healing process instead of derailing it and making things worse. But I'm very glad that I gave this a shot. I wanted to get a video out. I didn't want to skip a day of recording and putting out content for you all. So it's actively Tuesday, early 9:30 Central Time as I'm finishing up this video. So hopefully I'll get it out by 11 o'clock or noon today. But give us a like today for the grind. We don't stop here. Nothing stops, not even mouth surgery can stop me from making content for you all. That's how much I love fantasy football. I can't wait to finish out the rest of this season and just get things rolling here. Won a bunch of league championships with you all. Help you guys be the best players you can be this season. So if you've got questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to chat about down in the comment section below, drop that in there. It doesn't take my vocal cords to respond to you guys, and I'll be just streaming the internet all day as I'm literally just recovering, playing Madden, and doing other football-related activities today. So make sure to check that stuff out. Go look into the community Discord. If you're new around here to the channel, that's a free invite link in the description of today's video. Again, those draft guides, check out our social medias. You can find that in the description as well. Basically, anything you want to find here, more videos from SFS, is in the description. So that's kind of your gold mine as you're listening to today's video or any video. Just check out what I've got in there. Every once in a while, there'll be some different style stuff, different videos that I linked that I think you guys would be interested in. And I think that'll all be good stuff to take advantage of. So thank you guys so much for watching, sticking with me through today's rough episode. But I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Peace out.